Hey, so how are you guys doing with this interesting energy that we have coming through? So everything's quiet, like with the geostorms and the Schumann, everything's relatively quiet. We haven't had any major activity, but we're coming off of those really, really big solar flares. And so I feel like it was like this light blast that we received, and now we're doing the work. Now we're back in the life lessons and doing the work. And what's happening for so many of us right now is we are clearing generational trauma. Now, I know from all of the readings that I've done with clients over the years, when spirit shows me the very specific reasons of why we choose the parents that we do, for the lineage, for the vibrational frequencies that they carry, for the life lessons that they've been working on. And lots of times for the physical stuff, right? Remember, there's, whatever your physical vibration is like, meaning what your body looks like, how your body health is. It really does a lot to create the kind of life experience that you're going to have, right? Only makes sense. If you're somebody who, was born into a family that didn't put much thought into diet or nutrition or exercise, you're likely somebody that's going to, go through some life lessons with some health stuff, right? There's going to be that. Maybe you're somebody who chose a family that really was into physical fitness and endurance and maybe athletes, and so that's going to affect your experience as well, because there'll probably be a lot more drive, right? A lot more activity in the experiences that you do. So it's really, really interesting, and it's also very unique to each soul, right? And to each soul's group as to what you are working on collectively. Remember, this is the thing to keep in mind. We're never just doing these life lessons on our own. There's always groups of souls that have agreed to come into this particular lifetime to do the work together, right? Because, how we interact, how we engage with each other, that all create the stage or the platform or the theme that we go through the life lessons in. And so right now for me, there's, this has been, a big life lesson my entire life, since the beginning of this particular lifetime. And it's the relationship with my mom, and working on that, and, all the dynamics of all of that, which is, it's not been easy. It's not been an easy life lesson. And, my mom has been sick. Interesting, right? That, we were both sick at the same time. This last year was, you guys know, I've been on the healing journey for the last year, big time healing. And she was diagnosed with cancer this year. And so she's been going through that, and we've been working with her, trying to help her and support her in that. And she's reached a point where by miracle, her cancer is in remission. She, managed to get through all of the things that she needed to do. But then she got really sick just a little while ago, and she got pneumonia because, of course, with all of the treatments that they do for cancer with Western medicine, they completely destroy your immune system, which, doesn't make much sense from a healing perspective, but that's the way that they do it. So anyways, she ended up getting pneumonia and, very, very sick, and could have easily died because, of course, she has no immune cells to fight off any kind of infections. But she came out of it, and she, she had to go to the hospital. She's in the hospital. They did the treatments. She managed to get rid of the pneumonia, and Her cancer is not back. But something else has happened. She has shifted in the way she's feeling and thinking about things. And I totally get this because I know myself, in this past year, there's been so many moments on my healing journey where I've just wanted to give up, where I just didn't have the fight in me to keep going. But I did. I may have been, giving up in moments and frustration, but I didn't give up. I kept going. And part of that is, for me, is because I have a family, I have children, I have a husband. So for me, it's always not just about me, it's about them. I do a lot of, a lot of my energy and effort goes to my family, right? Because that's always been a really important thing for me in my life, because I didn't have the greatest family growing up. I lost my dad very early on when I was 3. It was just my mom and I, and it was rough. So having a family was something that was super, super important to me. And so I value my family, and it's really important for me to do my best in all ways so that I can be there for them and also be there for myself. That's really, really important. And, this past year has been a really big life lesson in self-love, self-care, really self-love, self-care, self-support. And so my mom has reached a point, though, where, the last few days she's shifted, and I get it. She's been in the hospital for a long time. It's hard trying to stay positive, but she was doing it, but now she's stopped. And she's refusing all medicine, and she's refusing to eat. So it's been a couple of days that she hasn't eaten anything. And she's a tiny, tiny woman. So, not eating a meal is a big deal for her. And it's definitely not what her body needs right now. And so I had a really difficult conversation with her last night because I got angry, really, really angry with her. And I thought that I was further along on my healing journey with the relationship with her, with this, with this generational trauma stuff. I thought I had reached a place of forgiveness with her. But this new, dynamic of how she's feeling and how she's acting in her actions made me angry, because I feel like she's giving up, and I wasn't giving up on her. Now, I get it that it's her life and her journey and her life lessons, and I can't force her to do anything she doesn't want to do, and I can't force her to learn or to see what she's supposed to be learning. All I can do is recognize how deep that pain still is and how deep that trauma still is, and continue to do the stuff that I need to do for myself to heal that in me. Because I don't think in this lifetime I'm going to heal anything in her. I'm not going to be her healer. And that's a really hard lesson for me to learn. Especially somebody who, is a healer for a living. It's, what I do. It's my job. I help people. And I can't help her. I I'm not able to help her right now. And she is the only one who's able to make the decision that she's going to help herself. And I wanted to, for years, I was an acupuncturist. I had my own wellness clinic. And so I saw, like hundreds, thousands of acupuncture patients. And in the very, very beginning of my practice, I started off in a really small town. I still live in the small town. It's not as small now anymore, but really small town. And so my entire practice was word of mouth. I wasn't on social media, didn't do social media. It was just all, you saw one patient and then they talked to their family and their friends, and then that's how you built your business. And so in the very beginning, for whatever reason, a spirit creator was sending me people who had cancer. And, some of the people that were coming to me were at the end of their journeys. They had exhausted all options. They had done everything they possibly could, and they were just coming to me to manage their pain, to manage their symptoms. And I can remember there was such a distinction between the patients who had given up or resigned themselves, to being this is my fate, to those that still were fighting the fight. There was such a huge difference in their energy, in the way they looked. And I'm not just talking about visibly looking sick, but just they had a light. You could see a light in the ones that were still fighting the fight. And there was a dullness in the ones who had resigned themselves to give up. And it's very interesting because I can distinctly remember there being such a big difference. So we could put the two bodies together, side by side, and physically they would be experiencing the same thing. So say they both had the same kind of cancer. They both had the progression was the same. They'd both done all the tests. So physically they were the same. But emotionally and mentally they were in two different states. And so the people that were in the state of giving up, they didn't recover. They passed from their cancers. And the people that were still fighting the fight, they recovered from it. They got their lives back. And they managed to, live for another fight. So I just wanted to share with you guys, because this applies to everything, like in all areas of our lives. You may not be going through, some kind of chronic illness or disease. Maybe you're going through something else, but our thoughts and our emotions are so powerful, and we discredit them all the time. It's very easy for somebody to, ask us how we're doing, how we're feeling, and for us to just be, kind of dishonest with ourselves about it, right? Just say, oh yeah, I'm okay, I'm good, everything's fine. And when we say those words, but we don't feel those words, then there's that disconnect, and that's where we run into troubles. So I think, remember, there's purpose in everything. Everything I'm going through with my mom, every conversation I have with her, every angry moment that I have, there's purpose in it. And so for me, I know that forgiveness is still on my plate. It's obviously, it was very obvious with my reaction, how angry that I got, how close to the surface that anger was, how easily it came through, how emotional that it made me. And not emotional in a happy, joyous way, but in a angry, sad way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that I'm still holding those frequencies, that I'm still carrying those thoughts that are creating the emotions that then are creating the theme or the experience that I'm having. And that's really the most we can do, and it's the best we can do, is having that awareness, because when we have the awareness of it, then we have the opportunity to shift it or change it. And if we don't have the energy and the moment to shift or change it into something better, then we can give ourselves permission to just be. After I got off the phone with my mom and after I had the explosion and cried and got upset about it, I gave myself permission to just be with it. I gave myself permission to not think about it, to not try and fix it, to not try and feel bad for feeling like that. I gave myself permission to just be with it. And as soon as I did that, there was just this sense of lightness that came over, this sense of release, of surrender. And sometimes that's the best that we can do, and that's okay. So I hope that this awakens something in you. I hope that something clicks for you with this. It's the purpose of me sharing this, so that there's some awakening, some support in it for you. And remember, we're doing this all together. It may not seem like it, but we are. We are all doing this together. And we're doing our best. And sometimes it might feel like our best isn't good enough. But if we're doing it from our heart and we're doing it from a place of honesty and truth and rawness, then it's everything that we can do. Sending you guys huge, huge blessings.